Hello, I am Reverend Irene Smith, and I'd like to welcome you to Generationally Speaking. Here at the table, we come and we discuss life issues, no matter what they might be. As we sit at the table with each generation, we all learn, we all grow, we all are inspired.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Generationally Speaking.
Welcome to another show, the J4 Podcast Show. Thank y'all for tuning in today. Want to thank you for subscribe to all the show stuff that we got coming towards you all. The 49ers, my team, my guys, we are banged up. We are hurt. We are injured. Someone call 911. We need help. We are injured. I know if you all was watching the last game, you saw Fred Warner go down. I am upset. The quarterback of the defense is now hurt. So that makes Nick Bosa out. That makes Brock Purdy out. That makes Fred Warner out. That makes Ricky Pearsall out. That makes Gross Matos out. We are still banged up. We need help. Send the MASH unit. The 49ers have got to figure out a better offseason program when it comes to the health of their players. This is an enigma that has got to end. The 49ers, to me, seem to be one of the most injured-riddled teams for the last 3 years under this Shanahan system. I don't want to sit here and blame Shanahan, but it's something going on behind the scenes, whether it's the workout, whether it's the rest, I don't know. But the 49ers, the workout staff, or the people who are the conditioning staff, something needs to be done. I don't know whether they need to relook some of the rest and how much duration they give to rest. Maybe they need to give a little bit more rest, because one of the reasons you have a lot of injuries when it comes to a lot of muscle strains is, number one, the player is not getting enough rest after they do their workouts or when they're working out in the offseason. Rest is a valuable thing in any sport, and it is much needed for the athletes to prevent these muscle strains, tears, and all of these nagging little injuries that a player might go through. So the 49ers are banged up. We have a tough game in Atlanta, a tough game with Atlanta in San Francisco. This game right here is almost, I don't want to say crucial, but it is very important for the 49ers as a MASH unit right now to see what pieces they have and what pieces they don't. I like Tatum Bethune for the linebacker to replace Fred Warner. I also want to see Nick Martin get out there, get some go. The 49ers have some replacements at linebacker that might be sufficient enough to survive the rest of the season. Are they Fred Warner? Of course not. Duh. No, you're not replacing Fred Warner, a man with that much athleticism, with that much experience in one season. Is not going to happen. But they do have some potential, and that's the important thing with the middle linebacker position, is getting those young players some experience, letting them see the offense, what they'll be going against, and how the offense will try to go against them, and letting them get their feet wet and some games under their belt. So at middle linebacker, I do believe the 49ers can weather the storm. At pass rusher, we seem to have a problem. The two lines, offensive line and the defensive line, are having struggles doing the two basic things that they need to do. With the defensive line, we have a very limited pass rush. I don't want to say it's non-existent, because it does exist. It does exist, and it's not potent the way it needs to be. I do think that they have some potential with Alfred Collins and Mykel Williams to rush the inside, sometimes the outside with Mykel. I just think that right now they are missing someone to really put heat on the quarterback, and I don't think that person is going to be coming on the roster this year. I don't believe the 49ers will make a trade for Trey Henderson. Maybe they do. I don't believe they will. I believe that this franchise, or this organization, with the injuries that are now starting to mount up, I believe they're just trying to duck and cover and get to the end of the season as quick as possible, honestly. I don't know if this franchise, the 49ers, want to make a serious trade offer and give up draft capital when we need all the draft capital we can muster ourselves to start to replenish some of the older players or the older vets on this team. So I do not think the 49ers will get into a trade with any team that will want a first-round pick. Will they be offered a second-round pick, and will they be enticed by that? I do think the 49ers will be enticed by giving up a second-round pick for a player. In my opinion, I don't think they should. I think they should weather the storm, unfortunately, with whatever's going to be this year with their draft picks, and try to go into this next year securing draft as far as a tackle, a pass rusher, and probably another corner will probably be the start of this draft. But I do believe that the 49ers will trade a second-round pick. For who, I do not know. I do not think it's a good idea to trade a draft capital when your team is this decimated from injuries. I just don't think that's smart and wise by a front office. We'll see what the 49ers do by the trade deadline. There will be a lot of interesting moves by the trade deadline. If your favorite team might need a player or two, I'm pretty sure you guys will look into some kind of offer, or maybe you want to give up a player. You'll see what offers are available for that player and see what kind of draft compensation you can get. So that's the kind of things we're looking forward to as the trade deadline comes to an end. What moves will other teams make compared to the 49ers? I know people have said Trey Henderson with the 49ers seems like a good trade move. I would strongly push against that. I understand. I'm not trying to say Trey Henderson is a bad player. He is an awesome player, Cincinnati Bengal defensive end. But to me, right now, with the current state of the roster being decimated by injuries, I just think you want to just weather the storm with the current players you have. So with the upcoming schedule for the 49ers after Atlanta, I do think it's going to get interesting with the Rams. The Rams are going to hold the key for the division. Now, I think you can shock a lot of people and keep yourself in the race, even if you have a bad October, if you beat the Rams. Beating the Rams and maybe trying to secure the division is maybe the best route for the 49ers to get into the playoffs. I don't think you can worry about having a number one roster right about now, with the roster being what it is. I don't think you should be worrying about home field advantage right now. Right now, if you're the 49ers, I would just be happy with getting a playoff spot, whether it be a divisional win and you get in, maybe you get one home game or a wild card. But I do think if they can beat the Rams, it will start to set up. Maybe they can take the division and have one playoff game at home before they have to go on the road. We'll see how this rest of the schedule plays out. I am optimistic that the 49ers can figure it out. I am not optimistic on them having the number one record or having home field advantage throughout the playoffs. I do think that's probably going to go to either Detroit or Tampa Bay. I don't think the 49ers will be in that conversation when the season ends. I hope we're in the conversation of winning the division, and if we win the division, at least we can get one home game, which I think will be important if they're going to make a run further into the playoffs. But outside of the Rams, they have Carolina, the Titans, the Bears. Carolina is one of those games that you don't want to lose to them, because if you lose to Carolina, like, do you really deserve to go to the playoffs? And I'm a 49er fan. I believe that I always want the best for my team, but when you lose to teams like Carolina, if we lose to a team like Carolina, it says a lot about our preparation for the playoffs, because, I mean, the number one team in their division is the Tampa Bay Bucks. And if we can't beat Carolina, how do we plan on beating Tampa Bay if we have to see them further in the playoffs, or if we have to see Seattle again, or maybe we have to play the Rams for a third straight time? You want to now, this is the season, this is part of the season when you want to start to send a message to your divisional rivals, when you want to start to send messages when you play head-to-head to your divisional opponents. It's the message of, we'll beat you now and we'll beat you later. It's pretty simple. We'll beat you now in the regular season and we'll beat you later in the playoffs. And if you can sweep your divisional opponent, it sends a bigger message. Is not only will we beat you at your house, we'll beat you at our house. And when you come to our house in the playoffs, we'll beat you again. So I do think divisional games, they matter. You have to go out there and compete and try to win those kind of games, because those games can determine the division, and it can come down to just one divisional games that sets everything apart when a seeding starts to come in for the playoffs. So we definitely want to watch that. And I did circle some games that I want us to look at for this next week that we got coming up. The Bengals and the Steelers, we could talk about that real quick. But before we do, let's talk about the Cowboys and Commanders that's coming up. That's a good game. I do think, I've been a long time, I don't want to say a Dak hater, but a person that really underappreciates Dak Prescott. But I have to give him credit this year where he's playing some good football. Unfortunately, his defense is garbage. And people want to say, well, Micah Parsons. I don't think Micah Parsons would have mattered either or. I don't think their defense was going to be stellar with or without Micah Parsons. I think their defense is what it is. I think Micah Parsons would have just been a bonus for the pass rush, but the stopping of the run would have still been one of the problems that this defense has. So it comes down to me, can the Commanders run the ball on the Cowboys? If they can, they'll win the game. If they can't, I think that Prescott can pull a miracle out and still a victory. Jaden Daniels is having, Commander fans don't want to talk about it, kind of a sophomore slump. And it's okay. It happens. It happens. Everybody calm down. Don't panic. Sophomore slumps happen in the NFL. Is what the growing process looks like for your superstar budding player. They have to go through a learning process where the league, because you have to remember, defensive coordinators get paid to stop your player. In the offseason, they get paid to figure out how do we stop your system with your player. And I believe a lot of the coordinators figured out some things about Jaden Daniels, and now it's Jaden Daniels' move in the offseason to start coming up with a little bit of other things to throw at the defensive coordinators where they're not used to and they can't easily defend anymore. And that's what this kind of thing is about. It's about a, give and take of what the league is trying to stop you with, and how do you beat the league when they start to implement those kind of plans on your offense, as you as a player. So it'll be interesting to see Jaden Daniels the rest of the season. My pick for this game is going to be the Commanders. I'm going to pick the Commanders this time, and I'm going to pick the Cowboys the next time. I do think these two teams will split when it comes to seeing each other in the regular season. So my pick for the Commanders versus Cowboys will be the Commanders. In the next game, the Eagle fans, Eagles versus the Vikings. So this seems to be a very interesting game. You have Jalen Hurts, the new Eagles quarterback, going against Carson Wentz, the old first-round pick of the Eagles quarterbacks. So this will be a good game to see what is what with the Philadelphia Eagles. But I do think that the Vikings have a good defense to kind of test them. I'm not sure about how the Vikings offense is going to look. I know Justin Jefferson is good. I know the Jordan Addison is good. I don't know which Carson Wentz I'm going to get on Sunday. Maybe you do. I don't. I don't know. That Carson Wentz is going to determine whether we have a game or whether we have a blowout. Because if the Carson Wentz that comes out that can't find anyone and can't hit a barn, can't hit the side of the barn to save his life, well, they're probably gonna get blown out. But if Carson Wentz comes out and plays a game manageable kind of game, manage the game, I think they can come away with a victory against the Eagles. But can Carson Wentz be a game manager? I don't think so. So my pick for the Eagles versus the Vikings will be the Eagles. So that's that. And the last game we can look at is the Colts versus the Chargers, which is, wow. Who would have thought Daniel Jones would be a top 3 quarterback in the league? If you bet money on Daniel Jones being a top 3 quarterback in the league, you're a rich man right now. And I would like to link up with you or with him or her who might have done that to maybe share some investment advice you might have for me. Because I'm just saying, I didn't have Daniel Jones nowhere near where he's playing at right now, let alone that I believe that Daniel Jones was capable of being anywhere he's near right now. And if you need, like I said, if you knew this, you should go play the lottery because you're wasting your talent. Literally. Yeah, you're literally wasting your talent. So this game to me, when it comes to the Colts versus the Chargers, man, I love everything that the Colts are doing. I really do. But the Chargers have a coach called Jim Harbaugh. And Jim Harbaugh, no matter where he goes, I can't root against him. I just, as a 49er fan, it is in our rule book that we just cannot root against Jim Harbaugh. We can't. It is against my operating system to root against Jim Harbaugh. I will refuse to do that. I will not operate. I won't do this. I'm not operating no more. And I'm not going to participate if you're trying to tell me I got to go against Jim Harbaugh. Not going to happen. Like, I don't know about Justin Herbert as a quarterback. I feel like Justin has moments where he looks like an all-pro, can't miss, Hall of Famer, and then other moments where he looks like, why are you in the league? Like, dude, you're just a tall statue dummy. But you shouldn't say that. Anyway, Justin Herbert has to come focused to play. The Colts are a lot better than a lot of people are giving them credit for. They actually do have a decent defense, and they can make you turn the ball over, and they love to get you 3 and outs. This defense for the Colts is pretty good. I wouldn't say they're the best in the league. I think there's some other defenses out there that are a little better, but they're good for where they're at, and that speaks a lot. So to me, I want the Chargers to pull this out. I just don't know if Justin Herbert or if this new Daniel Jones is going to continue doing what he does. So for this pick, I'm going to go with the Chargers because, like I said, I will not pick against Jim Harbaugh. It's against my code of conduct. Won't do it. So last couple of things we could talk about is the Bengals versus the Steelers, which was an interesting game of geriatric quarterback versus geriatric quarterback. Your old man versus my old man. One 80-year-old versus another 80-year-old. Old Joe Flacco versus old Aaron Rodgers at the OK Corral. Didn't that feel like that, though? Like, it felt like you saw something at the OK Corral. Like, it felt like a Western with two old cowboys still trying to hold on to the last bit of the old West, giving it one more go out there for the people at the OK Corral. Doc Holliday style. You know. I'm telling y'all, that was a good game. I was shocked. First of all, I didn't think Aaron Rodgers had anything of that kind of game in him at all. I thought that was gone. And I'd be lying if I said the same thing about Joe Flacco, because who saw Joe Flacco doing that? But you know what I think it speaks louder for? The Cleveland Browns. Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, how? Why? There's so many whys here. You traded a quarterback within your division to a rival that you and the Steelers will have to deal with. Can you explain why, Cleveland? Just, if we all just sat down and we just gave you a microphone, could you just spend 10 minutes explaining why that makes sense for everyone, including yourself? Because I don't understand. So Cleveland trades Joe Flacco 10 days before this game. So 10 days, Joe Flacco has to learn a new system. And it might be a little easy when you have, I don't know, Tay Higgs, you have Jamar Chase on one side, and you got the other one on the other, T. Higgins on the other side. I guess it is kind of easy compared to Cleveland, where it's like Njoku, and that's it. And I'm sorry if you're a receiver on Cleveland and you're watching this, but I don't know who you are, so I apologize. But man, that was a good game. That was a good Thursday. Thursday night games have been giving us a lot more better quality over these last several games than any year Thursday night games have been on. I feel like someone in the Thursday night show said enough with just giving us the crap teams, and you're gonna give us some decent matchups, and now they got them, and now it's benefiting all of us. Because if I'm standing up on a Thursday, I better be seeing something. I'm not staying up on a Thursday, gotta get up on a Friday, and I'm gonna watch two bad teams. Why? NFL, thank you for fixing this. This was something that needed to be fixed. If you're gonna give us a product on a Thursday night and you want me to stay up, give me something that will make me entertained and will keep me up. Other than that, I will voice my opinion, okay? Just saying. Very entertained Thursday night game. Steelers versus the Bengals. The Bengals pulled it off. Joe Flacco with the miracle. What a show, Joe. What a show. That was just so amazing. And then we have James Franklin, if you haven't heard, was fired from Penn State. And people ask me, well, what do I feel about this firing? And I feel a number of ways, and here we go. Number one, James Franklin was one of the best recruiters for Penn State since Joe Paterno. Okay, let's get that straight right now. He was one of the best recruiters for Penn State since Joe Paterno. Number two, James Franklin couldn't win a big game to save his life. Couldn't win a big game to say. James Franklin will give you a lot of regular season games. He will get you into a bowl game. He will get you into the playoffs. Just don't plan on advancing or winning that bowl game, because it's not going to happen. James Franklin had a bad record in bowl games and in the playoffs. And this season, it finally leaked into the regular season because they end up losing, I believe, 3 straight almost, and then they lost to UCLA. And just to give you some kind of reference on what UCLA is, it's almost like losing to a very good community college. And you're Penn State. It became a point where, all right, I think the wheels are starting to fall off now. I believed one thing and one thing only out of this. If Penn State does not have someone that they've already talked to, ready to go, with the job title, and they fired James Franklin, and they were going to do a head coach search for Penn State, thinking that all the best of the best of the best were going to come to try to interview for good old Penn State, I got some bad news for you, Penn State. The best of the best ain't coming to Penn State. Not happening. Not happening. Penn State is a school that, honestly, they get a good coach and they keep that coach for a very long time. Ask Joe Paterno. They are not in the business of getting rid of a coach, bringing in a coach, paying a coach a buyout, bringing in another coach, paying his buyout, bringing in another coach. They've never been like that. They've always been, we find someone young. Look at Joe Paterno before the nonsense started to happen with him. When he was hired, he was young at Penn State. He spent his entire life there because that's what they do. They don't like to hire, rehire, buy out, hire. That's not who they are. They're not Alabama. That's not who they are. When you're in Texas, they'll do that. When you're in Alabama, they'll do that. When you're in Penn State, we're trying to keep you as long as we can keep you. You die here, we can have it our way. Like Joe Paterno retired and died, and he was the only coach he coached Penn State. That was it. Because Penn State don't like to fire coaches. That's not who they are. So for me, this was so surprising because they like to keep on a coach for as long as possible. So to me, the welcome had to be done with him. It was like, I think he had worn out his welcome. The bowl games, the playoff appearances, and then now the regular season all just cascaded in. And I think they just, I don't want to say they panicked, but they kind of made a panic move. If they don't have somebody. Now, if they have somebody, and if they already talked to this person and they feel comfortable with this person, Godspeed. But to me, you better have someone young, energetic, and maybe take off a little bit of the, I need to win a bowl game right now kind of thing. That's the way you probably need to go for Penn State. Remember, you're Penn State. You don't win. I mean, you win national titles. Who's expecting you to win national titles? All my Penn State alumni hearing this, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just speaking the truth. At least mine. Like Miami. I'm a Hurricane. We win championships. We do. Okay? Penn State, come on. Get it together. And then the last topic, West. The NBA West is starting the 21st. Wesley, which matchup are you interested in, Wesley? Golden State versus the Lakers. We have Bron versus Steph. Maybe for the very last time. We don't know because we were fooled. I don't know if you were fooled. I wasn't fooled. First of all, let me look, Wesley. Let me look dead in the camera for these people. If LeBron tells you he's announcing something, and that announcement does not happen in prime time, it's janky. If it don't happen at 7 p.m. or at 8 p.m., it ain't nothing important. Trust me. That's how I knew this is something that, I don't know what this is. I didn't know if it was a Hennessy commercial, but I knew it was something other than his retirement because there's no way LeBron James is not taking this prime time, like 12 p.m. West 12 p.m. Think about that. Who announces something at lunchtime? Think about that. I want everybody home right now, in your car, whatever you're in right now. When have you heard a major announcement at noon? Anytime you hearing something at noon, it's breaking. It just happened. It's right now. We didn't know this was going on. You don't play. No one plans anything for a noon announcement. Noon? Entertainment? No. Come on. Prime time. That's what they do. They do prime time all the time. So, you have the Golden State versus the Lakers, Wesley, and you have the Houston Rockets versus the Oklahoma City Thunder, SGA, versus KD's new team. This is a new team for KD. So, which team are you, or which game, Wesley, would you lean toward watching if you had to pick one of these games to watch? What you got? I think I'm leaning toward Golden State the Lakers. Oh, yeah. You know what? Chicago Bulls has see, it must be nice. I'm a Wizards fan, so I have to look and discuss. It must be nice to have young talent that looks like they might do something this year. You know, hopefully we've got our young talent now. You know, the East Wizards. Look at me. Come here. The East is wide open, man. It ain't gonna get much easier. The Wizards, come on. Wizards, it ain't gonna get any easier than this. The Boston's best player down for the year. Milwaukee's best player more than likely will be traded some point in time this year. The Knicks. It's the Knicks. Anytime right now, this is the perfect time. If you are a low Eastern Conference team, never really did anything, people really never noticed you, looking at the Bulls, looking at the Nets, looking at the Wizards, this is your year. Someone's team out of nowhere is going to the playoffs this year because the East is. Whew. I mean, think about it like this. Look at Indiana. Their best player's gone for the year. Achilles tear. So between Tatum, Indiana, the Knicks, Milwaukee, everyone's either dealing with injury or some kind of trade that affected the team. And that means the East is wide open. I'm not saying Wizards, you have to be number one. That's a fool's dream. I'm not a fool. But would it kill you to be in the playoff? Can you be in the play-in game, Wizards? Can you be between 6, 7, 8? Can you be in a playoff position and you have to play yourself into the playoffs? Like, I'll take that. I'll take it. I'm going to be giving you, all my Wizards fans, during the NBA season, all the Wizards updates. I'll let you know my feelings on the games that have passed and the records and where we're going as a team. But as far as right now, the NBA season starting, I'm going to go with Golden State Warriors versus the Lakers as the game I'll watch for the season opener. The team I'm going to pick now, I hate to say it, I hate to be the guy, but yeah, I'm going to go OKC for the West. I know Wesley's not really, look, Wesley looked at me like, yeah, you're not really reaching when you pick the champions to win again. Not really a strong reach when you pick the champs to go back to the championship. Yeah, I know Wesley. I can't. I don't know who's going to do to the East. I don't know, man. I don't know who's going to represent the Eastern Conference this year in the championship. I wish I knew. I feel like between OKC, Denver, maybe, I don't want to say Golden State, but maybe. But Golden State, maybe. Put them on our side. Between Denver Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder, the two teams I believe that will represent the Western Conference in the finals. Good luck to everybody in the East. That's all I want to say. And with that, I want to thank you all for tuning into the show. Please continue to like, subscribe. Please continue to send your feedbacks to the show. We appreciate everything all the feedback you guys have sent us. Thank you for watching, whether it's night, noon, or day. This has been the J4 Podcast Show. We out.